What if working less could actually help you achieve more? Most ambitious women are drowning in busy work. You're answering emails at 10 p.m., you're juggling endless tasks and saying yes to everything, yet your biggest goals remain frustratingly out of reach. If your brain feels fried, your schedule's packed, and you're still wondering why you don't have the success you know you're capable of, this video is for you. You'll learn how to structure your week for deep focus, build real momentum towards your goals, and finally feel like the powerhouse that you know that you are. This is the exact framework I've used with dozens of ambitious women to help them go from scattered and stressed to focused and scaling either their business or their career, and often in just a few hours a day. So let's dive into the one mental shift that changes everything. The difference between women who stay stuck in the grind and those who actually break through to the results they actually want. So here's the thing. Most ambitious women live on the assembly line, checking emails, replying to messages, spinning through tasks. It feels productive on the assembly line, but you're just tightening bolts on a machine that never really stops. Meanwhile, just down the hall from the assembly line, there is another room, the innovation lab. It's quieter, slower, but inside the innovation lab, something powerful is happening. Blueprints are being drawn, breakthroughs are being born, and future systems are being shaped. That room, that's where your most valuable work lives. The kind that moves your whole life forward. The assembly line is where shallow work happens, and the innovation lab is your deep work. And according to Cal Newport, shallow work is the kind of task that keeps you busy, like answering emails or filling out forms. It's low effort, easily replicable, and doesn't require much focus. Deep work, on the other hand, is focused, it's distraction free, it's effort that pushes cognitive limits. It's where you produce your best work and make real progress on meaningful goals. So let me draw this out for you. So if we go here to this funnel, really the deep work that I'm going to teach you how to do today is going to be funneling your unrefined genius. So that's what we're going to be putting in. And so to start, I want you to understand the power of deep work. So we're going to start off, like I said, understanding the power of deep work. And that's because once we understand something, we're more likely to apply it rather than just doing what we're told. So here are some powerful examples to help make the shift to truly understand the power of deep work. Idra Nui, the former CEO of PepsiCo, famously blocked hours each day for deep strategic thinking, helping her navigate Pepsi through a transformational business shift. Another great example of the power of deep work comes from Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison structured her days meticulously, rising at dawn to deeply focus on her novels and ultimately earning the Nobel Peace Prize in Literature. Carl Jung famously spent long stretches isolated in his Swiss tower, focused intensely on his groundbreaking psychological theories. So as you can see, deep work has the power to turn mundane into greatness. But making this mental shift to understanding the power of deep work is just the beginning. Next, let me show you what most productivity gurus leave out when it comes to efficiently achieving your goals. Imagine having a brilliant vision for your future, like a breathtaking landscape you're eager to capture. But when you lift your camera to snap the picture, everything is blurry. The colors and shapes are there, but the details are lost in like a hazy fog. What you need is the right lens, one that brings every element into crisp, perfect focus, showing you exactly where to step next. That's what a good strategy does, which is why I want you to start with strategy. It's the bridge between your larger vision and your plan that most productivity gurus actually skip. So you can think of strategy like if you have your vision, that's your goal, that's where you want to go. It's like putting your destination into the GPS. Usually people skip strategy and go directly to reverse goal setting with systems like the 12-week year. So if you think of your reverse goal planning as the route to get you to that destination, that vision, strategy is being able to pick the best route to get there self-care before you select go in your GPS. So specifically, let me show you how I've approached this with my one-to-one clients lately. It's not about creating some rigid plan or an overwhelming checklist. I use something called the strategic circle because strategy isn't a straight line. It's more integrated than that. It's cyclical, it's more intentional. So in my program, Systemize Your Goals, I teach my clients to develop their vision, including their sun goals, which are their 5 to 10 year goals, and their moon goals, which are 1 to 3 year goals. And instead of jumping from their vision straight to their reverse goal planning using the 12-week year strategies, I teach them to devise a strategy first. And here's how. First, you're going to choose your battleground. I want you to focus intentionally. Decide what's your priority and what goes on your not now list. Next, I want you to design your winning move. So you're going to ditch hustle for alignment. Identify the simplest, smartest path to leveraging your strengths. 3 is to build your edge. So you want to think about closing the gap from intention to action. So implement habits, skills, or symptoms to simplify execution. And then 4, you're going to secure support as part of your strategy. Set yourself up to win. Use routines, people, and tools to stay steady and motivated. But now that you have a strategy for your vision, how does this actually help you with deep work? So let's keep going and I'll show you how. When I was in middle school, I ran the mile race. While most of my friends were vying to be sprinters, I actually loved long distance running because I didn't have to go hard right out of the gate. I could pace myself majority of the time and then gather everything I had to sprint at the end to the finish line. And that's exactly how you manage your time and stay focused as an ambitious woman. So the next layer to get focused for deep work is to decide the pace. Here's the method I use to do this. Okay, so this is something I'm calling my 80-20 race to success. It starts off with the 80%. And this 80% is the pace zone. And in pace, you're going to have your regular routines and a long distance mindset. So in this 80%, most of your time is spent maintaining steady, routine-driven rhythms. You're consistently creating content, marketing steadily, and preserving your energy if you're a business owner. This is the time where you'll be able to implement deep work the most on a daily basis because you'll be able to add it to your weekly and daily routines. Then you have the 20%. This is the sprint zone. In the sprint, which is going to be about 75% of the 20%, it's your go time. And this is where you will need extra support. And then that last 25% of the 20% of the sprint zone, you're going to save for recovery. And this is where you will recharge and do self-care. So once a quarter, I strategically push harder. So think launches, promotions, podcast pitching, or a visibility blitz, so to speak. During these sprints, I step up my intensity. I'm going live more. I'm increasing my email frequency. I'm showing up daily on social media. This is a planned period once a quarter that you just go a little bit harder for your business or your career, and you're a little bit out of your regular routines. But here's the keys. These sprints are planned. They're intentional. You anticipate them. You set clear boundaries and build in that recovery we talked about. So this might look like prepping meals ahead, scheduling house help, setting firm work hour limits if you do have to work a little bit overtime, and plan your rest for afterwards. And what that recovery piece does is it really protects your peace while maximizing your results. This works really well if you are running a business, but it can also work for my corporate baddies. If you're balancing a corporate job, apply this by designating deep work pockets in your regular weekly schedule and use strategic sprint periods around major projects or professional growth goals. So prepare similarly. You're going to set boundaries at work, get extra support at home, and build in that restorative time. So an example from my corporate life, when I was a full-time neuropsychologist, there was a period of me getting trained on the Rorschach, was just a pretty intense training that I decided to do. And I usually did those type of intense trainings like once a quarter. and I planned ahead to get home at help because I would have to do some of the trainings on the weekend. And I also prepared my job to let them know that I was going to be out for a couple of those days of trainings. But then once that period was over, I got back into my regular routines and had my deep work scheduled in my daily routines. So this is how you sustain long-term success of having deep work without burning out, by pacing intentionally and sprinting strategically when you need more time to double down and go hard. Okay, so now I want to show you how to use your pace periods to actually get the most from deep work. So let's talk buckets. Imagine you're holding a hose. You've got 4 buckets in front of you: administration, marketing, strategy, and vision work. If you keep swinging the hose between them, trying to fill them all at once, you're going to waste water, you're going to waste time, and you're going to waste energy, and nothing will actually fill up. But if you direct the stream into one bucket at a time, each fills faster, more focus, and less mess is the result. And that's the power of batching. So I want you to batch for success. And one of the ways I do this is by using what Cal Newport calls the Biodal Method for scheduling deep work. Instead of trying to dip in and out of focused work all day, I protect larger blocks of time during my week. Usually 3 to 4 hours, 3 to 4 times per week. And this is where I can go deep without interruptions. Newport actually outlines 4 approaches to deep work. So monostatic, totally eliminating shallow tasks; bimodal, so blocking extended deep work sessions within a balanced schedule; rhythmic, which is creating a consistent daily deep work habit; and journalistic, which is squeezing in deep work whenever possible. For most ambitious women balancing multiple roles, I think the bimodal approach offers both structure and flexibility, and batching is what makes it actually doable. Batching is how I protect my deep work time. It gives me structure to my week and ensures that I'm not constantly switching gears. So here's the simple version of how I advise deciding on your batch days using my boss batching pyramid. So essentially what this lays out is that batching is how I protect my deep work time. And this first layer of batch day categories that you might want to consider for your batch days is going to cure the chaos and the clutter that you have either in your business or in your career. And that cure is the category of admin batch days. And what this does is give us stability and scalability. So in these admin days, you're going to handle things like operations, finances, and systems, so nothing falls between the cracks. This is creating that stability. Now, this layer is no doubt shallow work, and the goal is to eventually eliminate, systemize, automate, or delegate these tasks so that they take up as little time as possible for you. And then the remaining days for the rest of the pyramid would ideally have their own day with deep work blocked out each day to allow for maximum focus and benefits. So here are the other batch days to consider. So this next batch day consideration is going to help you solve invisibility. If you're a business owner, you need to be seen, and inconsistency. So not showing up consistently for your business or your career. And those are on stage batch days, I'm calling them. And this is going to help you with visibility and trust. So these on-stage batch days are going to focus on visibility tasks like content creation, marketing, or pitching. And being able to consistently go deep in this type of work is going to build trust and consistency with your audience because you're constantly showing up. So you may or may not have this if you are not a business owner, these sort of on-stage days. Let's dive into the next consideration for batch days on our pyramid. And this is going to cure stagnation and short-term thinking. What that is development days. And when I say development days, I mean either business development or personal development. And what that's going to help us achieve by having these days consistently to go deep on development is going to help us with growth, personal and business growth, and leadership. So on these days, you're going to zoom out to plan, make decisions, and build systems. You could also use this day for personal development, like I said, and this is where you're going to grow instead of hustle. Okay, so this last layer, this very top layer, is going to solve the problem of misalignment. So getting off track with our vision and with our goals. And these are going to be your deep visionary work. And when we have deep visionary work, this allows us to create legacy, mission, and leverage. So these deep visionary days protect your time for visionary thinking, creativity, and big impact projects. And like I said, this is where your legacy is built. And when each category has its own day or its own block within the day, you reduce task switching, you stay in the flow, and you protect your energy for what matters most. And a quick tip for my 9-to-5 professionals or my corporate baddies is to do a task audit to get a good idea of all the tasks that you're doing in your role. And then outside of admin, find 4 categories of tasks that you can divide into batch days. So you might have a meeting day, a report writing day, a special projects day, a training day, or an organizing day. And I also suggest a time audit for entrepreneurs as well before you fully decide on your batch days. So now that you've structured your time for space for that deep work, the next challenge is actually getting into it, because let's be real, blocking time doesn't guarantee you'll be focused. It's one thing to sit down for the deep work, it's another thing to actually drop in. So getting into a flow state and getting into deep work is like catching the perfect wave. It's hard to find, but once you're riding it, you're fully present, you're balanced, and moving with power and with ease. So let's break down how to catch that wave on command. So this final step in our deep work funnel is this daily deep work flow. So here's how I do it. I use my 3-7 time blocking method. I create boundaries around what's most important, time for me, time for my family, and time for work. So my morning block is reserved for routines, my early morning routine and morning routine that take care of me and my family. And my work block is broken down into routines to help me make the most of my work time that I have clear boundaries around. And specifically, my AM work routine is where I reserve time for deep work for each batch day. I also pair my time blocking with buffers before and after those deep work blocks, so I'm not rushing in or out of my flow. Also, within my work block is my lunch routine. For me, it's lunch and errands, and then my PM work routine, which is usually a shorter deep work block if possible, and then followed by my wind down work routine, which is crucial for maintaining this flow day to day. This is where I capture ideas I jotted down to not get distracted. I tidy up my workspace, and I take a look at the time blocking for the next day so that I can unwind each evening without worrying about what's to come. And then when it comes to actually sitting down to do the deep work, I also use some go-to strategies to get into that flow state. I firstly prepare my environment, no distractions, phone off, browser tabs cleared, and everything I need within reach. I also do a quick tidy again if it's needed and set up my environment for a flow state with aromatherapy, with my desk diffuser, and alpha wave steady music. I also use classic focus techniques. My go-to is the Pomodoro method, 50 minutes of work and 10-minute breaks repeated for a total of 3 times before a larger break. When I first started honing my deep work and flow state, I tracked my ability to focus with back planning in my Mod Ambition Planner, a technique that Cal Newport recommends to build awareness and train your concentration over time. So if you have the Mod Ambition Planner or the Planner printable, there's a space in your time blocking section to go back and back plan. And when it comes to this type of focus tracking, Newport actually shares research in his book about how tracking deep work alone can help you increase your ability to do this kind of work. And finally, I prioritize my sleep, especially my evening routine, because if you want to go deep, your brain actually needs rest. No deep work strategy can outrun exhaustion. And so all of these habits combined have really helped me catch the wave, stay in the flow, and make meaningful progress in less time and without burnout. And so when we do all of this, what comes out of our deep work funnel is meaningful momentum towards our goals. And essentially, you've just learned how to protect your deep work and actually get meaningful work done. But let's be real, if your business systems are still a patchwork of sticky notes and scattered tools and mental reminders, all that deep focus, it won't take you very far. That's why the next thing to watch is my Productive Boss workshop. In it, I'll show you how to organize the back end of your business like a real CEO so that your ideas stop sliding through the cracks, your marketing becomes consistent, and your weeks run on structure, not stress. So click right here now to finally build the systems that match your ambition. Thank you so much for watching, and cheers to planning, manifesting, and enjoying your dream life. Namaste.